Time flew by quickly, and I received a notice of enlistment. The date to join the Army was September 10th. It was time for me to prepare myself. I bought a necklace and gave it to Miss Kim. In addition, I put the stocks on the envelope and left them to my mother. Most of them were odd lot stocks, so if I wanted to sell them, I had to go to a securities. I also informed my mother of the location of the securities company. A few months before, I joined a benefit club that my friend organized, but I didn't get back the money from him. I also gave my mother the company location and phone number of the friend who was supposed to have received the money. In the end, I didn't get some of the money back. The friend who organized the benefit club was an irresponsible man. To this day, I still have never complained to that friend. I remember the teacher who told me to get a job at the bank. How good would it have been if I had chosen the bank for my job? It was a real regret. The bank paid 70% of its salary for taking time off from military service. Since my company didn't have such a pay system, I was worried about my family's livelihood after joining the Army. The day of my enlistment finally came. I had a daily barracks experience during a summer vacation in high school, but this time it was not an experience, but I was to become a real soldier. Some of my colleagues in the same department gave me a gold ring to commemorate my enlistment. When I received the ring, I realized that the date of my enlistment was approaching. The night before my enlistment, my local friends and Miss Kim had a farewell party. We stayed up all night singing and talking, and we shared the sadness of parting. Early the next morning, tired from not sleeping, we all went to the staging area. When we arrived there by Subway Line 1, my friends gathered around and sang the farewell song by the singer Hong Min. I clasped Miss Kim's hand. With the heart of leaving, with the heart of sending, what we want to say, we can't do it all, but I just wanted to say that I loved you only. I truly loved you. The conscripts gathered in the playground, finished the roll calling, and boarded the enlistment train. There were many people who gave a send-off. I was sitting by the window in the train, and my nose got cold. When my mother, Miss Kim, and my friends gathered outside the train window, I shed tears. My mother turned away without a word, wiping away her tears with the handkerchief. My mother didn't come near me to show her crying. Miss Kim was also in tears. When the train moved, my friends came near the window. One of my friends grabbed Miss Kim by the waist and raised her to the window. The train window was too high for her to hold my hand, and right away the train began to move. My heart sank. I am finally leaving. We all waved our hands with the train window between us. The train was filled with cries of the conscripts. A moment later, the soldier leading the conscripts shouted, "From now on, we're going to start catching mice. Everyone hides under the chair when I say, 'Catch mice.' Got it?" When the soldier waved and shouted, "Catch mice," everyone in the train was hiding under the seats and stopped crying. The day turned dark when I arrived at the training camp. It was very cold in autumn. It was late at night, but a soldier leading the conscripts called some of us. After completing an additional physical examination by 4 a.m., I was sent to the sergeant's school. I was supposed to be an administrative soldier before, but my military occupational specialty was changed to artillery. I was trained in sergeant's school, which was shunned by others. The military assistants in there took the discipline by calling the school a human manufacturing center. The training at the sergeant's school was really unbearable. Individual action was never allowed. I couldn't go to the bathroom if I didn't go with more than one person at night, so I had to hold back my urine. When I had diarrhea during the double march, I couldn't speak up and it ran down my pants. When I returned to the living barracks, I had to go to bed without washing. I had a hard time getting used to the sergeant's school. It was always strange to go to bed, and I felt mortified while undergoing hard training. However, when I entered the artillery school after completing the sergeant's school, I made up my mind. If I had to serve in the military anyway, I had to change my mind. I decided to think of the Army as another school and make my experience in the Army my own. After finishing the first course in the school, we took the late night train to the artillery school together. When we went to the artillery school, we wore the rank of semi-sergeant. There was another red gold pattern on 4 sticks in the badge of rank. Early in the morning, we ran about 10 kilometers on foot. It was nothing to run 10 kilometers unarmed, as I was well built during training. I ran, enjoying the sound of the military boots when we all ran in the ranks. The sound of the footsteps sounded like a drum. Part of the novel, The Last Lesson, came to my mind. I felt as if I had become the main character with the sound of German army's footsteps outside the classroom. It was early in the morning, so passers-by looked at us from time to time on the street. They couldn't recognize me in the ranks, but I ran with pride as an army sergeant in Korea. There was a lot to learn at the artillery school, although it was said that in military education there were many subjects related to daily life, such as vehicle maintenance, etc., as well as gunfiring. When I completed the course at the artillery school, I won first prize and received the principal's award. All the high-performing sergeants in the school were assigned to the front line. I took a week off before my deployment. My whole body was full of grit and my voice was throbbing. I could meet Miss Kim in Seoul for the first time in a long time. She was fresh in her face. I couldn't receive or send a letter during training. I had 2 family visits during the training period. At that time, Miss Kim was absent from the work and came to visit the school in Jeollado. There were so many visitors that there was not enough seats to sit in the visiting room. Miss Kim brought gluttonous rice and sandwiches. Wearing a short miniskirt and a long brick coat, she looked very mature. There was no room, so I sat her on my lap and hugged her waist. When people looked at her, my shoulders shrugged. A week of vacation passed by so fast. On the day I returned to the Army, Miss Kim was seen off to Chuncheon City. I felt that she was more precious than my family. I was proud that there was a woman outside of my family who only looked at me, and I felt sorry to have parted from her. After finishing the second training course, I entered the supplemental force before being assigned to serve. I remember vividly what happened there. Most of the recruits stopped by a snack bar in the auditorium. When a recruit sang "Come Back to Busan Port," sung by Cho Young-pil, hundreds of recruits there burst into tears. The unit I was assigned to was an artillery battalion in the front line. I did my military service near the civilian control line. The huge mountains in front of my unit were beautiful. These mountains were where many soldiers died during the Korean War. The school textbook contained the fact that there was a fierce battle there. There were 4 distinct seasons in the mountains. In winter, the White Mountains were a sight only seen in movies. In autumn, the mountains were aflame with autumnal tints. I sometimes looked at the mountains in front of my unit and thought of the poem Gongbyok by Tubo, a Tang Dynasty poet whom I learned about in Chinese literature class in middle school. The river is blue and the birds are white. Flowers in the green mountains seem to be burning. The spring is passing again. When will I come back? During my military service in the artillery, Miss Kim sent me letters almost every day. Sometimes I received 5 letters at a time when I was in army training or in a state of emergency. How sorrowful were the contents of her letters. One day, the company commander called me in to the administration office. I was famous for receiving a lot of letters in the army. During my military service, I received more than 700 letters. I was far away from my hometown, but Miss Kim was with me in my heart all the time. Even while I was in the army, Miss Kim sometimes visited my house. The sergeant was paid a little more than a regular soldier, so I could send home the little money I had saved. I bought a small cassette tape recorder with the money I saved and bought a set of books for Miss Kim. I was the gunner of field artillery. The artillery soldiers must know a lot of knowledge to shoot at distant targets. I tried to apply what I had learned at the artillery school to the field artillery site. In addition, I tried to analyze the factor of error of the gun shooting and find the best way to do it. I shortened the time by using both hands at the same time when I led 2 aiming poles to the designated spot. The howitzer had optical instruments. The instruments also had a margin of error play that could not be seen well as with the other machines. I knew that the margin error could cause the shell to escape from its target. I taught myself how to solve the problem. As a soldier, I did my military service with pride. Many people in the Army called me an Army Constitution, and the gun captain of Field Battery asked me to apply for a long-term service. He told me there was a way to become an officer. However, I also served my duty faithfully from day to day, waiting for the day when I was discharged. As a matter of fact, life in the barracks was always dangerous and unsafe. There were gun safety accidents in front of my eyes, and the senior comrades often beat the junior soldiers for discipline. I got tetanus in my left ear while serving in the Army as an artillery. On days of low spirits, the chirping of cicadas in my left ear always rings in my head. The hardest part of my life until then was the military service, which made me reborn as a tough and strong man. When I had some time to spare after adjusting to the military life, I started studying. I couldn't give up college. When I got a chance, I studied Korean language, history, and general sociology in the barracks, but I didn't study very well because it was not comfortable in the barracks. It was my last vacation in the Army. During the vacation, I took a visit to my company to say hello. Assistant Section Chief Kim was working as the section chief of the purchasing department. He was the man who sent money for school supplies to my younger brothers through Miss Kim while I was serving in the Army. He was a very compassionate man from Gyeongsang-do. I can't forget Section Chief Kim, who was especially fond of me. He told me to work in the purchasing department after I was discharged from the military. He also asked the human resources manager to appoint me before I was discharged.